The training hall of the Orion Galactic Academy was always loud, crowded, and full of strange energy. But today it felt different. It felt heavy, like something important was hiding in the air and waiting to happen. Humans had joined the academy only 3 months ago, and many alien students still did not understand them. Some respected humans, some ignored them, and a few laughed at them, but no one really knew what humans were capable of. Evan, one of the human recruits, sat quietly at the edge of the hall. He was not strong like the four-armed warriors, not tall like the reptilian clans, and not glowing like the energy-based species. He looked normal, small, and harmless compared to everyone else. He kept his head down, doing his work, avoiding trouble. He believed that if he stayed silent, the aliens would leave him alone. But Ryala was not the type to leave anyone alone. Ryala belonged to the Virex race, a warrior species known for strength, confidence, and bold behavior. Their females were taller than most males, fast, proud, and playful in a dangerous way. Ryala had purple skin, silver eyes, and a tail that moved when she was excited. Today she was very excited. She watched Evan from across the hall. Her friends whispered and laughed, pointing at the human. "He looks like he will faint if someone bumps into him," one of them joked. "Humans are soft," another said. But Ryala smiled in a mischievous way. She loved pranks, and she loved making people react, especially the quiet ones. "I will sit on him," she said, casually, like it was the most normal idea in the world. Her friends gasped. "You cannot do that," one said. "He is a human," another warned. But Ryala flicked her tail proudly and replied, "Exactly. Humans break easily. It will be funny." She walked toward Evan with long, confident steps. Evan was reading a holographic training module, completely unaware of what was coming. He only noticed Ryala when her shadow covered his desk. He looked up, confused. Do you need something?" he asked softly. Ryala smirked, leaned forward, and without warning, she sat down right on his lap, like he was a chair. Her friends burst into laughter. Evan froze in shock. His heart jumped. His breathing stopped for a second. His body felt like it was hit by electricity. Everyone expected him to push her away or scream, but something else happened instead. Something no alien in that room had ever seen before. The lights flickered. A low hum filled the hall. The temperature dropped. The ship's sensors suddenly woke up, like they sensed a threat. Evan's eyes widened, and his pupils shrank to tiny black dots. His body tensed, but not in fear, in something older, deeper, almost instinctive. Ryala immediately felt it. Her skin tingled. Her heartbeat quickened. It was like sitting on a sleeping predator that had suddenly opened one eye. She jumped up quickly, her tail puffed in alarm. "What was that?" she whispered, backing away. The ship's AI spoke in a cold, mechanical voice. "Warning, unknown human energy spike detected." The entire hall fell silent. Aliens stared at Evan with wide eyes. Evan was shaking, not from fear, but from something rising inside him, something ancient. His mind went blurry. Memories that were not his flashed inside his head. Battles he never fought, worlds he never seen, commands he never learned. Ryala stepped back, guilt filling her chest. She never meant anything serious. It was only a joke, but her joke had awakened something dangerous, something powerful. Seconds later, Academy instructors stormed into the hall. They surrounded Evan, scanning him with their devices. Energy readings went off the charts. The instructors exchanged nervous looks. Even they had never seen this before. One instructor whispered, "This cannot be possible. Humans were supposed to be dormant," another replied. "But his core response just activated. He is triggering something old." Ryala's heart dropped. Her friends pulled her behind them, whispering, "What did you do? Ryala, this is bad. You should not have touched him." Evan looked around with unfocused eyes. He felt like the world around him had changed. He heard voices that were not there. He saw visions of giant warships with human symbols. He felt a cold calmness take over his body, a type of calm that warriors feel before a battle. The AI repeated, "Human Combat Protocol Awakening."
Those words spread fear across the entire hall. Aliens stepped back. Some hid behind training pillars. Others whispered legends about ancient humans, stories they believed were only myths, stories that said humans once had a terrifying instinct locked in their DNA. Ryala tried to speak. I didn't mean it, she whispered, but no one listened. Her prank was no longer funny. It was dangerous. Evan finally looked at her, not with anger, but with eyes that carried something sharp and cold. She felt her legs weaken. She realized she had awakened something she didn't understand, something her entire species feared but never spoke about. The hall alarms turned red. Emergency lights flashed. The Academy commander's voice echoed through every speaker. All units report immediately. A human has awakened. Ryla stared at Evan, her breath shaking. She had sat on a human as a prank, but she never expected her tiny joke to shake the entire Academy, maybe even the entire galaxy. And in that moment, she understood one thing clearly. This prank should never have happened.
The Academy Hall filled with smoke as enemy soldiers pushed forward. Their boots hit the metal floor like thunder. Their weapons glowed bright blue, ready to fire again. But something held them back, something they did not expect. Evan was not running, not hiding, not shaking. He stood like a warrior from an old, forgotten age, calm and unbroken. The alien students watched in fear. Some whispered prayers in their languages. Others pressed themselves against the walls. The idea of a human fighting back was something they had never imagined. Humans were supposed to be peaceful, harmless, normal. But Evan was none of those things now. Ryala stood beside him, her breathing fast. She had never seen anyone move like Evan. He looked ordinary, but something inside him felt ancient, powerful, dangerous. The enemy commander stepped forward, his armor black with red streaks that marked him as high rank. He pointed at Evan. "Human, you are coming with us." Evan tilted his head slightly. "You are afraid," he said calmly. It was not a question. It was the truth. The commander hesitated, his finger tightening on the trigger. Ryala whispered, "Evan, what do they want?" Evan closed his eyes for a moment. As another wave of memories rushed inside him, he saw secret documents. He saw human scientists. He saw experiments and orders written in code. He saw old empires gathering around Earth, whispering about fear and control. And then he opened his eyes again. "They want to erase what woke up inside me." The scientist who had scanned him earlier gasped. "The ancient human instinct? The galaxy banned it long ago." The enemy commander growled. "Humans became too strong, too unpredictable. Your people agreed to bury your power." Evan felt anger rise inside him, deep and cold. "My people never agreed," he replied. "They were forced." The hall trembled as another group of enemy soldiers entered. They surrounded the area. The academy instructors fought back, but they were outnumbered. The enemy was prepared for everything except an awakened human. Evan stepped forward as if pulled by an invisible force. His muscles tightened, his mind focused. He felt the instinct guiding him, showing him where each enemy would move, how their weapons worked, and how to stop them. Ryala touched his arm again, her voice shaking. "Evan, be careful." Something in her voice reached through the chaos. It softened his eyes for a moment, giving him a tiny anchor, a reminder of who he was before the awakening. The enemy fired again. But Evan moved like the shot had announced itself seconds before it happened. He ducked, grabbed Ryala, and pulled her behind a fallen metal beam. The blast exploded against the wall, sending sparks flying. Ryala trembled. "How did you know they would shoot?" Evan looked at his hands confused. "I do not know," he said. "It feels like my body knows without me thinking." The scientist shouted from across the hall, "This is the lost combat instinct. Humans once had the ability to predict danger before it happened. It was not magic. It was evolution at its highest point." The enemy commander growled, "Enough talk. Take him." But before his soldiers could advance, the ship shook again. This time, the impact was so strong that everyone stumbled. The alarm screamed louder. The AI declared, "Warning, multiple fleets entering orbit." Ryala's eyes widened. "Multiple fleets?" she whispered. "For one human?"
The scientist spoke bitterly. Humans were never weak, girl. They were the greatest threat to the galaxy, and the empires never forgot. Evan felt something stir inside him again, a memory clearer than the rest. He saw a council of aliens gathered around a hologram of Earth. He heard one of them say, "If humans ever awaken again, it will be the end of us." His jaw tightened as the realization hit him. "They are not here to capture me," he said quietly. "They are here to destroy me." Riala felt fear wrap around her heart. "But why?" she asked. "You are not a monster." Evan looked at her with a sad calmness. "They think I could become one." The doors on the far end burst open as Academy reinforcements arrived. They started evacuating students, shouting orders, trying to control the chaos. But the enemy forces were closing in fast. The scientist hurried to Evan and Riala. "We must get you out of here. If the enemy gets your DNA, they can recreate the old human army." Riala grabbed Evan's hand without hesitation. "Come with me," she said. "I know a way out." Evan nodded, trusting her more than he trusted anyone else in that moment. She guided him through a side corridor as explosions shook the walls behind them. They ran past broken lights, smoking vents, and fallen students being helped by medics. The ship was turning into a battlefield, but Evan felt strangely calm. The instinct was guiding him, helping him sense danger before it arrived. Riala looked at him as they ran. "Evan," she said breathlessly, "why is this happening?" Evan answered with a voice steady and cold. "Because someone in the galaxy feared humans so much that they erased our true nature." Riala stared at him, her heart pounding. "And now," she whispered, "your nature is waking up again?" Evan looked ahead as another explosion lit up the corridor. His eyes glowed brighter than ever. "Yes," he said, "and the galaxy is not ready for it." The truth was clear now. Something ancient inside humanity had been hidden, sealed, and forgotten. And Riala's prank had broken the seal. The galaxy would never be the same again. The corridor shook again as another blast hit the Academy ship. Metal beams rattled, ceiling plates fell like rain, and emergency lights flashed red through the smoke. Riala kept pulling Evan forward, her hand tight around his wrist. She knew the ship like a maze, and she moved fast, but the enemy forces were faster. Behind them, the sound of armored boots echoed. Enemy soldiers were chasing them, shouting orders in a harsh metallic language. Evan glanced back and saw their glowing visors and heavy rifles. The instinct inside him reacted instantly. His breathing steadied, his vision sharpened. He could almost feel the direction of every enemy bullet before it was fired. Riala led him around a corner, but the second they turned, 3 enemy soldiers stood waiting, their weapons aimed directly at Evan. Riala gasped. "No, Evan, move." But Evan didn't need her warning. He stepped in front of her, calm like a storm before lightning. When the enemy fired, he slipped sideways with inhuman speed, grabbing Riala and pulling her behind him as the blast exploded against the wall. The blast sent sparks across the floor. Riala stared at Evan in disbelief. "How are you doing that?" she whispered. Evan's voice was low. "I don't know. My body just moves." One soldier rushed at him with a blade, but Evan grabbed the attacker's wrist mid-swing, twisted it sharply, and the blade clattered to the ground. The soldier roared, but Evan stepped in, his fist striking the alien's chest with such force that the soldier slammed into the wall and collapsed unconscious. Riala blinked, stunned. Humans can hit that hard? Evan shook his head, breathing heavy. Normal humans know. Whatever woke up in me, yes. The other 2 soldiers hesitated, their weapons shaking. They had trained for many things, but not for a human moving faster than their sensors could track. Their hesitation cost them. Evan lunged forward, disarming one soldier and knocking the other to the floor with a sweeping kick. In seconds, all 3 were down. Riala exhaled shakily. "You just took down a whole squad." Evan looked at his hands, almost frightened of himself. "I shouldn't know how to fight like this," he said softly, "but something inside me does." The scientist caught up to them, breathing fast. "The instinct is fully active. Your body is using old human memory, stored in your DNA." Evan frowned. Why would humans hide something like this? The scientist explained as they ran. Because the last time humans awakened, the galaxy almost fell. Before anyone could respond, the ship rocked violently.
A voice echoed through the speakers. Enemy forces breaching Deck 6. Riala's eyes widened. That's the deck near the reactor. The scientist cursed. If they take the reactor, the whole academy will be controlled. Evan stepped forward. Evan stopped. Where is the reactor room? Riala grabbed his arm. Evan, no. You can't fight an entire boarding party. But Evan's eyes glowed again, the instinct burning brighter. If they take the reactor, they take all of you, he said quietly. Why do you care so much? Evan looked at her, his voice softening in a way that startled her. Because this started with you, and I won't let you pay for my awakening. Before she could speak, another explosion shook the deck. The sound of weapons grew closer. Evan set his jaw. Take me to Deck 6. Riala nodded, slowly, her heart pounding for reasons she didn't understand. Follow me. They sprinted through the smoke-filled corridors until they reached a massive blast door, marked with glowing red warnings. The door was half open, damaged by enemy fire. Inside, the reactor chamber pulsed with blue light, and enemy soldiers filled the room like a black wave, their weapons aimed at the core, trying to force it to overload. The scientist gasped. If they destabilize the core, the ship will collapse. Evan stepped out of cover. Then we stop them. Riala grabbed his hand. Evan, if you go in there, you might not come back. Evan squeezed her hand gently. A strange warmth passed between them. I'll come back, I promise. Then he walked into the reactor chamber. The enemy soldiers turned, aiming their weapons, but Evan moved first. He dashed across the room, weaving through plasma fire like he could see every shot before it existed. He slammed into the first soldier, sending him flying into a control panel. He grabbed another by the armor collar and hurled him over the railing. Riala watched from the doorway, her chest tight.
The Academy shook again as the enemy fleets formed a tight ring around the ship. Their warships were huge, dark, and shaped like blades, slicing through the stars. The Academy students watched from the windows, fear in their eyes. The enemy wasn't retreating anymore. They were preparing for something bigger, something final. The ship AI announced in a shaking voice, "Warning, high command vessels detected, enemy leaders approaching." Riala felt cold fear crawl down her spine. She turned to Evan. "High command. That means the ones who created the laws against humans." Evan nodded slowly, his eyes calm but heavy. "They came because they're scared," he said. "Scared that a single human awakened again." The scientist approached them, her antenna trembling. "They won't negotiate," she whispered. "Their command is simple. Eliminate the awakened human or capture him alive." Riala clenched her fists. "They can't take him." Evan looked at her gently. "They aren't here for the Academy," he said. "They're here for me." Riala stepped closer without thinking, her tail curling behind her legs. "Then they'll have to fight all of us," she said, her voice stronger than she expected. Evan looked down for a moment, as if something inside him softened at her words. He reached out and rested his hand lightly on her shoulder. "You shouldn't risk your life for me," he whispered. But Riala didn't step back. "You protected me first, and everything that's happening, it started because of me." Evan shook his head. "You didn't know." Riala's voice cracked slightly. "It doesn't matter, Evan. I won't let them take you." Before Evan could respond, the ship rocked violently. The lights flickered, an alarm wailed. The Academy commander's voice boomed through every corridor. "All combat students to defense stations. Enemy forces are preparing to board." Riala's eyes widened. "They're coming inside." Evan stood tall, the instinct humming beneath his skin like a storm waiting to break. "I have to go," he said quietly. "I'm the reason they're attacking." But Riala grabbed his arm with both hands, forcing him to face her. "No," she said, her voice shaking. "If you go alone, you'll die." Evan looked into her bright silver eyes, seeing fear mixed with something deeper, something she didn't understand yet. He shook his head gently. "I won't die," he said. "Not while you're here." Her cheeks warmed, a strange emotion rising inside her. Before either of them could say more, the ship latched onto the Academy hull. The metal groaned, lights dimmed, and the boarding doors began to melt under intense heat. Riala's people, the Vrex warriors, rushed forward with heavy weapons. Their leader barked orders. "Get ready for close combat." But Riala didn't join them. She stayed beside Evan, refusing to leave him.
The blast door erupted, sending metal fragments across the corridor. Enemy soldiers poured in like a flood, armored and armed. Their leader stepped forward, his voice cold. "Surrender the awakened human." Evan stepped forward before anyone else. "I'm right here," he said calmly. Riala felt her heart stop. "Evan, don't," she whispered. The enemy raised their weapons, aiming at him, but Evan's instinct activated in a silent wave. Riala felt the air tighten, the lights flicker, and the floor vibrate under her feet. The enemy fired first, but Evan moved faster than their eyes could track. He grabbed Riala and spun her out of the line of fire. The plasma shots hit the wall behind them. Evan rushed forward in a blur, his fists striking armor, sending soldiers flying. The Vrex warriors joined the fight, inspired by the human who moved like a storm. The corridor exploded with sound, metal clashing, plasma crackling, warriors shouting, the ship trembling from every hit. Riala fought beside Evan, matching his movements as best she could. Every time she stumbled, Evan caught her. Every time an enemy aimed at her, Evan moved in front of her. His instinct wasn't just fighting, it was protecting. The enemy realized they were losing. Their commander shouted, "Fall back! Bring in the high command unit!" Evan's eyes narrowed. "They're sending elites!" Riala looked at him, breathing hard. "Can you fight them?" Evan hesitated. "I don't know," he whispered, "but I'll try." Before the elite unit arrived, the academy commander appeared behind them. His voice was firm. "Evan, Riala, come with me." They followed him into a secure chamber. The walls closed, sealing them inside. The commander turned to Evan. "Human," he said. "The galaxy fears your instinct, but today you saved us." Evan lowered his head. "I didn't want any of this." The commander nodded, "Which is exactly why we will protect you." He handed Evan a small device. "This will hide your energy signature. If the high command can't track you, they will withdraw." Riala looked at Evan with hope. "Use it," she said. "Please." Evan stared at the device, then at Riala. Her eyes were full of fear, but also trust. He took a long breath. "I'll do it," he said. But before he activated it, he stepped closer to Riala. "I need to tell you something," he whispered. She blinked, confused. "What?" Evan looked down, his voice soft. "When you sat on me, something old woke up," he said. But something else woke up too. Riala felt her face warm. "What woke up?" she whispered. Evan met her eyes. "My instinct to protect you," he said, and that part wasn't ancient. Riala's breath caught. Her heart thumped loudly in her chest. She didn't know what to say, so she stepped closer, almost without thinking. But the ship AI interrupted. "Warning, high command retreating." They froze. The commander smiled. It worked! The danger was ending, but something new had begun, something quiet and powerful between Evan and Riala. The galaxy feared the awakening of a human, but it did not expect the bond he would form with an alien girl, a bond strong enough to change everything. And as the stars outside slowly cleared, one truth became clear too. This was only the beginning.